There are a few ways of looking at the light-dependent reactions. I'm going to start off by looking at it as an overview, building up the different reactions. So when we start off the light-dependent reaction, obviously it depends on a light. So we start off at photosystem 2. And light strikes this photosystem and causes a pair of electrons to become excited. And they've moved to a higher energy level on electron carrier 1. Now they move down to electron carrier 2, losing energy. And then they lose some more energy, move to electron carrier 3, before moving to photosystem 1. So I'm using the Roman numerals for the eyes there. So we can see that energy has gone in, light energy has gone in. So light energy has gone in. 2 electrons are emitted from photosystem 2. They move to electron carrier 1. They lose energy going to electron carrier 2, then to 3, before they end up on photosystem 1. Now each of these changes, each time energy is lost, ATP is released. Okay, so ATP is released. Obviously this ATP comes from ADP and inorganic phosphate. So this stage that we're looking at here is called photophosphorylation. So photophosphorylation is occurring here. Light energy is used to produce ATP. Now from here, energy again enters the photosystem. This causes the same pair of electrons to reach a higher energy level. Now 2 things can happen at this point. Either the electrons can combine with NADP, which for the moment we're just going to leave as it is there. So it can form this reaction and go to form NAD, or it can scoot back to electron carrier 1. So these 2 electrons, that they can do either of those, and for the purposes of this, it really could be either. It doesn't really matter which. But what I want to do is I want to return back to PS2, because PS2 is losing 2 electrons. Okay, so PS2 has become oxidized. Okay, so PS2 is oxidized. Now this makes it very, very unstable. It makes it what's known as electron hungry. It wants these 2 electron back. The way that it gets these 2 electrons is from the breakdown of water. Okay, and water breakdown will give you 2H plus, 2E minus, and a half of an O2 molecule. So these 2 electrons then scoot back into photosystem 2. Now this reaction that we're talking about here is photolysis. So photolysis. And if we break it down, photo, light, lysis, splitting. Okay, put simply, it is the splitting of water due to light energy. So as this happens, we've got photophosphorylation occurring, photolysis occurring. These 2 hydrogen ions just floating around, they actually can also then join NADP. It's one of the products of the reaction. And we can now take this reaction a step further. So the NADP will combine, so I'll just write the full equation out. It will combine with the 2 hydrogen ions and the 2 electrons, hydrogen ions from photolysis, the electrons from photophosphorylation, and it will produce NADPH2. Now NADPH2, also known as NADPH, or reduced NADP. For the purpose of the examination, they are all worthy of an answer. So I'm going to refer to it as NADPH2. So the NADPH2 is a product of this reaction in much the same way as ATP is a product of this reaction. So if we were to just zoom this out and consider the reaction as a whole, we've got a few different steps occurring. We've got photolysis in red, we've got photophosphorylation in black, and then in blue we also have a type of photophosphorylation, but this photophosphorylation is non-cyclic. Photophosphorylation, whereas in black we have cyclic photophosphorylation. But this just gives us an idea of the whole reaction, and we can see from this reaction we get a number of things being produced. We have oxygen produced, we have ATP being produced, and we have reduced NADP. The oxygen is released from the reaction. Reduced NADP and ATP move into the next stage. Now we should consider where these reactions are taking place as well. So the electron carriers and the photosystems PS1, PS2 are both found in the thylakoid membrane. So if we were to follow this reaction through, we would have light strikes PS1. That causes a pair of electrons to be emitted and passed to electron carrier 1, passed to electron carrier 2, electron carrier 3, before finally entering PS2 again. At this point, the two electrons can either combine with NADP, or they can go right back to electron carrier 1 and start the process again. So that's what happens with the electrons. They're passed along the electron transport chain in the thylakoid membrane. Now, as this happens, each time the electrons are at a carrier, the electrons cause the carrier to be reduced. That enables the transport of a hydrogen ion into the intermembrane space within the granum. So at each point, a hydrogen ion will move through. So at each point we've got a hydrogen ion moving through. And this can keep on recurring cyclically or non-cyclically. Equally, where we've got the electrons being removed from PS1, inside the stroma you've got H2O being broken down into 2H plus, 2E minus, and half NO2. The 2E minus can enter there, the two hydrogen ions can be involved in NADPH2 production. We've still now got this build-up of hydrogen ions, and as yet we've not produced any ATP, and what happens is simple. These hydrogen ions are used further down, so I'm just going to extend the membrane. Okay, and then we've got another protein present in the membrane here. And this other protein, each time a hydrogen ion moves through, down the concentration gradient, you get the production of ATP from ADP and inorganic phosphate, or PI. Just a note, it's important that we put it as PI because obviously the capital P is phosphorus. We want to denote that this is a phosphate ion, which is different to phosphorus. So we can see from this reaction, we can see everything occurring on the thylakoid membrane. But importantly, the production of ATP and NADPH2 occurs in the stroma, which is where the next set of reactions, the light independent reaction, occurs.